The Plum in the Golden Vase Original Version Chapter 17. Admiral Yang is overcome with blood stasis and Li Ping'er is promised to marry Zhang Zhuxian. It is said that on May 20th, Shui Fuzhou Xiaowei's birthday, Simon King received a 5-star investment, 2 handkerchiefs, neatly dressed, riding a big white horse, followed by 4 young men, and went to his house to pay his birthday. During the banquet, there were also a group of military officers including Jia Tixing, Zhang Tuanlian, Jing Qianhu, and He Qianhu, who were drinking, playing drums, and performing operas. Diane took the clothes and returned to Malay's house. When I arrived in Japan, I rode to pick him up again. When I walked to the intersection of West Street, I bumped into Mother Feng and asked, "Where are you going to, Mother Feng?" Mother Feng said, "Your second mother asked me to come to invite your father. Hire a silversmith to tidy up your hair and face. It's complete. Send it to your father today. Please take a look at it." "Your mother-in-law is still talking to your father," Diane said. "My father is having a drink with Mr. Zhou in the Garrison Mansion today. I will pick him up now. You, old man, please go back. When I get there, I'll just tell Dad." Feng's mother said, "If you're tired, please tell me. Your mother-in-law is waiting." This Diane rode straight to the Garrison Mansion. While the officials were drinking, Diane walked to Simon's celebration banquet and said, "When I was returning to Miss House, I bumped into Feng's mother at the street corner. My second mother sent me a messenger to say that the hired silversmith has sent me some money. Please invite me." "Look, Dad, I still want to talk to Dad." After Simon King heard this, he stood up. The guard Joe was willing to let him go, so he blocked the door and held a giant cup to persuade him. Simon King said, "My lord, I would rather have a drink. I have some trivial matters, and I can't indulge as much as I want. Please forgive me, please forgive me." So he drank it all in one gulp, resigned from the garrison, mounted his horse, and went to Li Ping'er's house. The woman continued, and after the tea was finished, Simon King told Diane to go back to Miss House and pick him up tomorrow. "Dan has gone." Li Ping'er asked Ying Chuner to take out the head and face from the Yingxin box and look at it with Simon King. Huang Hengang looked like a flame and had a good appearance. He took it away and waited for the ceremony on the 24th. He was allowed to marry on the 4th day of the lunar month. The woman was filled with joy and quickly arranged for wine to be brought in, so she and Simon King could have a good drink. After eating once, I asked the maid to wipe the mat clean in the room. The two of them were in the gauze tent, burning incense, blue and musk deer, spreading out their quilts, taking off their clothes, folding their legs side by side, drinking and teasing. For a long time, the spring scenery spread across my eyebrows, and my lustful heart rippled. Simon King first had a chat with the woman, and then, taking advantage of the wine, he sat on the bed, made the woman lie down on the mat, and played the flute with him. But see, there is no bamboo, no silk, no stone. The sound of flesh cannot be heard, the tassels and green gauze hang down, and the palace and merchant horns cannot be distinguished. A little cherry is about to bloom, and the slender fingers move frequently, deeply swallowing and vomiting. The two lovers are infatuated, and they don't realize that they are in sync with each other and taste delicious. Simon King was drunk and asked the woman, "When Hua Zixu was alive, did you want to do this with him?" The woman said, "He sleeps and dreams about death every day. How can I be patient enough to do this business with him? He only does this every day. When he was messing around outside, he came home, and I didn't want to get involved with him. Besides, when my husband was there, I slept in another room with him, and I even scolded him so much that I yelled at him. Okay, for my husband I said, I want to beat him with a stick. If the slave is playing like this with him, Shi-sen should not just kill the slave. Anyone who is like an enemy with such servile intentions is like medicine to heal the slave. Day and night, teach the slave just miss you." The two played together once, and then fucked again. Next to the Yingxin service is a small square box filled with all kinds of delicate fruits. The small golden pot is filled with fine wine. From dusk, I hold a candle in my hand and play with it until the first watch. There was a loud banging on the door outside, causing Feng's mother to open the door and take a look. It turned out that it was DAA incoming. Simon King said, "I told you to pick him up tomorrow. What are we doing here at night?" Yin called him in and asked him. The boy hurriedly walked to the door of the room, because Simon King and the woman were asleep and did not dare to come in. He only sat outside the curtain. Sister and brother-in-law have moved here, and there are many boxes and cages at home, and he asked me to come please Dad. Hurry up and talk about it. After Simon King heard this, he just hesitated. What's the reason why we are so late? We need to go home and take a look. Get up quickly. The woman put on her clothes and made a cup of warm wine to eat with him. When I got home, I saw lights and candles in the back hall. My daughter and son-in-law were here, and there were many boxes, cages, beds and tents piled up. I was surprised at first, because I asked, "Why are we here?" Chen Jingji, the son-in-law, shouted. He bowed his head and cried. Recently in the court, Mr. Young, was defeated by an official from the Ministry of Science and Technology. When the imperial edict was issued, he was sent to Nanlao for questioning. His relatives, servants, and others were all asked to be yoked and sent to the army. Yesterday, Young Jin in the mansion held an office all night. He rushed over and told his father that he knew about it. The father panicked and asked his son to stay in his father's home with his eldest sister and some guys to hide for a while. Then he got up and went to my girl in Tokyo to inquire about the news. I'll be happy. On that day, kindness will be repaid, and I dare not forget it. Simon King asked, "Does your father have any books?" Chen Jingji said, "There is a book here." He took it out from his sleeve and handed it to Simon King. "Fold it open and look at it. It reads, Chen Hongdan, a family member, first wrote to the in-laws of Dade Simon King. The remaining feelings will not be recounted. Because the northern rebels invaded the border and seized the territory of Xiangzhou. Wang Shangshu of the Ministry of War did not send reinforcements, missed the military plan, and implicated Mr. Young in the court, so he was impeached by the Keidao officials for being too serious. The imperial edict was angry and took him to Nanlao, where he was imprisoned and interrogated together with the 3 law divisions. His relatives, servants, etc., were all sent to the army as border guards as usual. When Sheng heard the news, the whole family was frightened and had nowhere to go. They sent their son and daughter away first, carrying boxes and household chores with them, and temporarily borrowed them to stay at the in-laws' house. He went to Beijing as soon as he was born and joined his sister. My husband Zhang Shilian came to inquire about it. When the time comes for things to go smoothly, I will repay my kindness when I return home. I dare not forget it. I am sincerely afraid that there will be some sensuality in the county, and I will order the child to wear 500 taels of silver outside. I will bother my relatives to take care of the materials, and I will be able to report the news without forgetting it. Cursive writing under the lamp, no announcement. Worship again on the 20th day of midsummer. Simon King saw this, panicked, and taught Wu Yunyang to arrange food and drinks, and take care of her daughter and son-in-law. He ordered his servants to clean the 3 rooms in the east wing in front of the hall and live with him and his wife. Pack up all the boxes, cages and items, and bring Yunyang up to the room. Chen Jingji took out his 500 taels of silver and gave it to Simon King for management and use. Simon King called Supervisor Wu, gave him 500 taels of silver, and taught him to go to the county manager's room overnight to copy and read a document from the Tokyo trip. What language is written on the top? The military department gave Yu Wang Suzong a copy of the matter, pleading for justice, and urgently punishing the traitors who had misled the country's power, so as to strengthen the army and eliminate the troubles caused by the captives. I have heard about the disasters of barbarians, and which has happened since ancient times. The wolves of the Zhou dynasty, the Xiongnu of the Han dynasty, the Turks of the Tang dynasty, and the Khitan became powerful in the 5 dynasties. By the time the Song dynasty was founded, the Liao dynasty had conquered the Central Plains for a long time. However, I have never heard of a patient who does not have ED inside but has ED on the outside. As the saying goes, when frost falls, the hall bells ring. When rain falls, the pillar bases are moistened. It is inevitable to judge the class by the class. For example, if a sick man has been suffering from a long-standing illness in his stomach and heart, his vitality has disappeared internally. Wind evil has entered from outside, and his limbs, and bones are all suffering from illness. Even if Liu Bianmo can't save him, how can it last long? The current situation is like that of the sick man King Wu, who is extremely ill. The king is like the head of state, the ministers are like the heart, and the officials are like the limbs. Your Majesty's head is arched above the 9 levels, and hundreds of officials and people are performing their duties below. If the vitality is replenished internally, and the glory and defense are external, then the prisoners will be captured. What is the cause of the trouble? Today, the patient who is recruiting barbarians is none other than Kai Jing, the great scholar of Changjiang Palace. He originally used as a traitor and a dangerous person, but used it to help people who were shameless and shameless, proclaim virtue and govern, protect Yuan. Tutors rely on profit and wealth to support themselves, hoping to maintain their position with favors, building up factions and harboring treachery, deceiving the emperor, and slandering good people. The loyal soldiers were disintegrated by it, and the whole world was chilled by it. Together with the nobles, they gathered together into one school. He Huang, who was nearby, failed to negotiate and advocated the invasion of Liao and the internal division of 3 counties. Guryaoshi rebelled and sent the Jinlu to betray the alliance and move to the central plains of Pingling. These are all misleading the greatness of the country, and they are all caused by the failure of the capital. Wang Fu is greedy and rogue, and his behavior is better than that of a haiku actor. He was promoted by Meng Jing and recommended to the government, and soon he took charge of his own army. As long as he keeps his position and remains content, there is nothing he can do in the end. However, Zhang Da died in Taiyuan, and Zhang Huang was separated because of him. Now that the captives have invaded the mainland, they will take their wives and go south as a means of self-protection. Is his crime of harming the country worthy of execution? Yang Jian originally inherited the shadow of his ancestors as a dandy, and relied on his status as a favored Lingdian commander to be in charge of the army. He indulged in extramarital affairs, was treacherous and loyal, and was extremely cowardly. These 3 ministers are all entangled in cliques and are deceived internally and externally. They are the poison of His Majesty's heart. Over the past few years, disasters have caused misfortune. The capital has been lost. The army has been burdened with heavy taxes. The people have been separated, thieves have been rampant, and barbarians have violated obedience. The wealth of the world has been exhausted, and the country's principles and disciplines have been weakened. Although they have been promoted, they are not enough to count the capital. Sin, if a minister waits for a crime and prepares officials to remonstrate with him, only to witness a treacherous minister harming the country and not report it to the emperor, he will be betraying the kindness of his father and the emperor, and he will be betraying what he has learned throughout his life. Fuki Chen was cut off, and a group of evil criminals, such as Jing, were sent to the imperial court to show a small punishment. Some were sent to the extreme ceremony to show their killing. Some were flogged as usual. Some were thrown into the desert to ward off evil spirits. God's will can be restored. People's hearts will be happy. The country's laws will be rectified, and the troubles caused by captivity will disappear. The world is so lucky. The subjects are so lucky. According to the imperial edict, Kai Jing'u will stay to assist the government. Wang Fu and Yang Jian will take it to the 3 law departments, and they will ask and explain it clearly. I respect this. Continuing with the meeting of the 3 law ministers, we found out that the evil men of the alliance committed crimes against Wang Fu and Wang Jian. Their soldiers were not responsible for their duties, and they allowed the captives to penetrate deeply, poisoning the people, losing troops and generals, and falling into the mainland. They should be executed according to the law. The bad deeds of his subordinates, the clerk's office, the government officials, and the in-laws Dongsheng, Lu Hu, Yang Sheng, Peng Zhuan, Han Zongren, Chen Hong, Huang Yu, Liu Sheng, Zhao Hongdao, etc., were found to be famous criminals, and they were all questioned for a month's shackles. The border guards were sent out all over the country. If Simon King didn't look at it, everything would stop. When he looked at it, he only heard a whizzing sound in his ear, and he didn't know where his soul was going. That is, the 6 leaves and liver and lungs were frightened, and the 3 hairs and 7 holes were frightened. Immediately, he hurriedly packed some gold and silver treasures to play with, packed up his luggage, called his family members Lai Bao and Lai Wang to the bedroom, and quietly gave instructions like this. The hired man went to Tokyo at night to inquire about news. There is no need to go to your father-in-law Chen's house. But if there is a bad appearance, take advantage of it and return it quickly. He also gave the two of them 20 taels of silver. I hired a porter as early as 5 o'clock and set off for Tokyo, no problem. Simon King Tong didn't sleep all night. In the morning of the next day, he ordered Lei Zhao and Bissy to stop the garden work, and all the craftsmen went back and stopped doing it. The door is closed tightly every day, and no one in the family is allowed to go out unless there is nothing to do. Simon King just walked around the room, feeling more worried and more bored, like a spider crawling on the hot ground, forgetting about the idea of marrying Li Ping'er. Wu Yunyang saw that he was frowning and had a sad look on his face, so she had to comfort him and said, "He is doing something with his parents-in-law. Everyone has their own grievances and debts, so you don't need to worry about this," Simon King said. "What do you know, wife? Chen's family is my in-laws. My daughter and son-in-law moved to our house. In the past, the neighbors annoyed us a lot. As the saying goes, if the machine is not fast, the shuttle will be. Fighting against sheep, colts and donkeys. If a mean person digs at them and uproots trees to find their roots, you and I will not be able to protect our wealth. Exactly, if you sit at home with the door closed, disaster will come from heaven." Here Simon King is wandering at home, so he doesn't ask any questions. It is said that Li Ping'er waited for 1 or 2 days, but there was no movement. He asked Feng's mother to come twice in a row, and the door was closed like an iron barrel. After waiting for a long time, no one's teeth came out, for some reason. On the 24th, Li Ping'er asked Mrs. Feng to come over again and invited Simon King to come and talk. He told the door not to open and stood under the eaves of the opposite house to wait. After a while, I saw Dian coming out to drink from the horses. When he saw it, he asked, "Mother Feng, what are you doing here?" Mother Feng said, "Your second mother asked me to bring you the head. Why is there no movement? Please come over and talk to your father." Dian said, "My father has been busy for the past few days and has not been able to take time off. You, the old man, are going to take your head and face. When I come back from drinking horses, you can just tell my father." Feng's mother said, "Good brother, I'll wait here. You can take the noodles and talk to your father. Your mother-in-law is so annoying to me." Dian tied the horse down and walked inside for half a day. He came out and said, "Tell Dad. The first dad will accept it and teach you to override Ernaying. After a few days, my dad will come out to talk to Ernaying." Mother Feng kept coming and answered the woman's words. The woman waited for a few more days to see the end of May and the beginning of June. She thought about it day and night, but there was no news at all. Her dream and soul were exhausted, and the good times were blocked. Exactly, if you are too lazy to sweep your eyebrows, you will be too shy to even out your pink face. Full of hatred and haggard spirit, the woman was looking forward to not seeing Simon King come, so every day she had less food and tea, and she was in a daze. In the evening, I sleep alone on the pillow and hesitate. Suddenly I heard the door knocking outside, and I seemed to see Simon King coming. The woman greeted him with a smile, entered the room hand in hand, asked him about breaking the appointment, and each expressed his heartfelt words. "Be thoughtful and have fun all night long." When the rooster crows at dawn, he withdraws and goes back. The woman suddenly woke up and shouted loudly, losing her spirit. Feng's mother heard this and hurriedly came into the room to take a look. The woman said, "Simon's father went out just now? Did you close the door?" Mother Feng said, "Madam, I am obsessed with thinking. Where are the high-ranking officials coming? There are no traces." From then on, the woman's dreams followed evil spirits. Every night there is a fox with a false name and surname, capturing its essence. Gradually, he became thinner, couldn't eat enough, and became bedridden. Mother Feng told the woman that she had invited Zhang Zhushan from the main street to come and see her. He is less than 30 years old, with a short stature, an elegant character, and is extremely frivolous. arrogant and deceitful. Please enter the bedroom. The woman has misty hair and a cloudy hair. She is lying in a quilt, as if she is extremely sad. The tea and soup were finished, and the maid placed the mattress. Jushin went to bed and checked her pulse. Seeing that the woman was pretty, he said, "The student is suitable for diagnosing the cause of the disease. My wife's liver pulse is stringy and enlarged when it comes out of the kunku. Her Julian pulse comes out of the kunku and goes up to the thenor for a long time. It is caused by the 6 desires and 7 emotions. Yin and yang compete, sometimes cold and sometimes hot, which seems to be stuck in the middle and not successful. It seems like malaria but not malaria, like cold but not cold. During the day, you will be tired, sleepy, and lack of energy. At night, the gods will not stay at home, and you will have intercourse with ghosts in your dreams. If it is not treated early, it will turn into a bone disease over time, and you will definitely have worries." "What a pity! What a pity!" The woman said, "Mr. Yule, please give me a good medicine. If you are good, I will give you a bigger reward." Jushin said, "Students are all careful. If the lady takes my medicine, she will be in good health and safe." After saying that, he stood up. "The medicine gold and 5 stars are given here, so that Feng's mother asks for the medicine." The woman took the medicine at night and fell asleep at night without panic. Gradually he ate more, got up, combed his hair and walked around. After a few days, the spirit returns to its original state. One day, a banquet was arranged, and 3 taels of silver were prepared, so that Feng's mother invited her to come over to Jushin to thank her. Ever since Zhang Jushin went to see a doctor with the woman, he had been coveting her for a long time. As soon as he heard his invitation, he immediately went there in awe. In Yanzhong Hall, the woman came out in full makeup, said blessings, changed the tea and soup, and asked to come into the room. The wine and food are old, and the musk orchids are fragrant. The little maid Shuchun was beside her, holding out 3 taels of platinum on a gold plate. The woman held the jade cup high, bowed forward, and said, "The day before yesterday, I was feeling bad, so I was given a good medicine, and it has taken effect. I have given you a glass of water and wine today, and I have invited you to come and thank me." Jushin said, "This is the student's responsibility. It should be dealt with, why worry about it?" Seeing the thrilling "thank you," he said, "How dare this student accept it?" The woman said, "This must be done lightly and is not polite." Mr. Wanwang accepted it with a smile. After giving in for a long time, Jushin finally accepted it. The woman handed the wine and everyone was seated. After 3 rounds of drinking, Jushin glanced at the woman secretly. She was stunningly beautiful with pink makeup and jade. He first used words to pick her out, because he said, "Students dare not ask, 'How young is this lady?'" The woman said, "I have wasted 20 years. 4 years old." Jushin said, "My wife is in such a wonderful age, growing up in a deep boudoir, and living in prosperity. Why can't she succeed?" And the day before yesterday she suffered from the disease of depression and insufficiency. After hearing this, the woman smiled and said, "To be honest, sir, I died because of my clumsy husband. The family is depressed, and I am alone, worried and worried. How can I not be sick?" Jushin said, "It turns out that my husband is dead. How long has it been?" The woman said, "My husband has died of typhoid fever since November last year. He has been dead now 8 months. Jushin asked, "Whose medicine did you take?" The woman said, "Mr. Who on the street." Jushin said, "Is that the nonsense guy who lives in Eunuch Liu's house on East Street? He's not from our Imperial Hospital, so he doesn't know anything about it. Why did the lady invite him?" The woman said, "It's also because the neighbor recommended him. Come and see, it's still a stupid man who will die if he doesn't do other things." Jushin asked again, "Do you have any children?" The woman said, "You have no children." Jushin said, "It's a pity that at such a young age, my wife is alone as a widow and has nowhere to go. Why not find another way out? If you are willing to be depressed, won't you get sick?" The woman said, "I have been talking about marriage recently. Come morning and evening." Jushin asked, "Who are you marrying?" Madam, the woman said, he is a high-ranking official from the west gate of the herbal medicine store in front of the county. After hearing this, Jushin said, what a pain. What a pain. Why did you marry him? Students often go to his house for medical treatment and know the details best. This man specializes in talking about everything in the county, spreading private debts, and selling people. The girls in the family are not here. After all, 5 or 6 wives, big and small, are beating the sticks. If they don't like it, they will ask the matchmaker to sell them out. They are the leaders of the wife-beating team and the leaders who cheat women. My wife told me a long time ago, otherwise I will enter his house. Like a moth throwing itself into the fire, it traps you so that you can't get up or get down. It's too late to regret it then. Moreover, his in-laws have been involved in a lot of trouble recently, and they can't escape at home. The house is half built and unfit, and they are all left behind. I'm done. I closed the documents in Tokyo and got people from the prefecture and county. When he builds this house tomorrow, he will probably get the money confiscated by the officials. What are you going to do if you marry him for no reason? One sentence left the woman speechless. Moreover, many things were left at his house. After pondering for a long time, he secretly said, I blamed him for not coming. Because there is something wrong with his family. Seeing Jushin's speech activities again. A group of people were humble. I will marry you tomorrow. It's just such a man. I wonder if he has a wife. He said, since I have been taught by my husband, I am deeply grateful to my family. If I have any acquaintance with him and recommend him as a sponsor, I have no reason not to follow him. Jushin took the opportunity to ask, I don't know what kind of family I want. The student asked the truth, so I can come here to talk. The woman said, it doesn't matter how big or small you are, as long as you are someone like Mr. Jushin refused to listen. After hearing this, he was so happy that he felt itchy and didn't know where to scratch it. He hurriedly walked down from the banquet, knelt down and said, to tell you the truth, madam, the students are helpless and have no money to feed them. I have been a widower for a long time, and my son has no interest at all. If my wife takes pity on me and is willing to marry Kananjin, it will be a lifelong wish. Although the student is holding a ring and weaving grass, I dare not forget it. The woman smiled, held it in her hands, and said, please get up. How long will Mr. Wei Shen be a widower? How much is your age? If you want to get married, you must have someone from Baoshan to speak to you. Jushin knelt down again and begged. The student is 29 years old. He was born on the 27th day of the first lunar month. Unfortunately, Jing's wife passed away last year. His family background is poor and he is really poor. Now that I have received Jinyuo's words, why use ice? People speak. The woman smiled and said, since you have no money, I have a mother named Feng here, and I asked him to be a matchmaker. I don't need you to hire me. I will choose an auspicious day and a good time to recruit you as my wife. What do you think? Jushin hurriedly knelt down and bowed down. A lady is like a student who is reborn as his parents, and then grows up as a father and mother. We are destined to live together in this life, and we are so lucky. The two of them handed each other a glass of social wine in the room, and it became a matter of course. Marriage. Jushin drank till night and went home. The woman discussed with Feng's mother here and said, Simon King has done something like this. It is difficult to guarantee good or bad luck. Besides, there is no one here in the slave family. If something goes wrong, he will not lose his life. For the current plan, it is better to kill this gentleman. Why not invite him in? The next day, I asked Feng's mother to send a letter, choosing June 18th as a perfect day to recruit Zhang Jushin in, and they became his wife. After 3 days, the woman collected 300 taels of silver and opened a storefronts with Jushin, giving the store a completely new look. At first I just walked to see a doctor, but later I bought a donkey and rode it on the street. Exactly, there are no waves in a puddle of stagnant water, and there are times when the spring breeze stirs.
Alright, this part of the story ends here.
Want to know what happened next? Let's listen to the breakdown next time.